What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Town. So I just woke up about 30 minutes ago, took a little nap from work, but to my surprise, well, I'm not gonna say to my surprise. I'm just gonna say it makes sense, and you can't get mad at Edwin De Los Santos or basically his promoter, Samson Boxing. Basically, they pulled the plug on the fight. They decided not to go through with the fight because one, technically it wouldn't be a championship bout because it is what it is. You know, um, the thing is, it would have been a unfair championship bout because Keyshawn, lost the title. So you know, even if De Los Santos would have went through with the fight and beat Keyshawn Davis, it would have been looked upon as well. Only one person could win the belt, and you want it to be like, okay, well, your competitive nature wanted to be like, hey, we both had something at risk. Keyshawn was stripped. He had nothing to lose. He literally had nothing to lose because they took the belt away from him. So, it's a bad look for Keyshawn Davis because this is like the second incident Keyshawn Davis didn't actually had. I know there was, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they rule one of his fights in Texas like a no contest because he tested positive for marijuana? And this is a bad look for Keyshawn Davis because now he's a repeat offender. So now he doesn't make weight, and you have to keep it 100. You have no reason other to just say that he intentionally didn't make weight. I mean, he came 4 pounds overweight, almost five. If you not, at least placing the, intentionally not making weight, you got to at least be placing the label unprofessional Keyshawn Davis. And like I said, I like Keyshawn Davis, but I call it right down the middle. I don't care who they is. I don't care how much I fuck with them. How much access they give me. You just got to tell the truth. It was unprofessional, and this is just not a good look for Keyshawn Davis because now this is like the second incident he didn't had. With something pertaining to boxing. You know, but so that's unfortunate for everybody involved. That's unfortunate for De Los Santos because they felt like, hey, they felt like they was at a disadvantage. So you can't knock them for pulling out of the fight. You know, that's why they have a contracted weight, and you are contracted to make that weight. And if you don't make that weight, then your opponent have every right to decide whether they want to go through with the fight or not. But 4 pounds, that was a big difference. They have weight classes for a reason. And the thing is, you look at the people that Keyshawn Davis, is affiliated with, they are the ultimate professionals. But the funny thing is, I'm looking in the comment section, and as expected, Keyshawn is getting a certain type of response from certain type of people, which I'm gonna talk about that in another video. I'm gonna do a follow-up video, but people are just so predictable. They're so predictable. Um, that's why I have the stands I have when it pertains to certain things pertaining to this boxing. So I don't know what's going to happen with Keyshawn Davis next. It appears that Keyshawn Davis is going to move up to, um, in all likelihood, he's going to move up to 140. Now, as far as other potential fights, now Tank is going to look at this as an excuse in all likelihood to avoid Keyshawn Davis. He's been avoiding Keyshawn Davis anyway, acting as if he didn't exist. Tiafimo, he fights at 140. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight Keyshawn Davis. He always got an excuse. And Tiafimo talked about they was trying to set him up and all this kind of stuff. Only low IQ or just biased boxing fans would believe anything that Tiafimo is trying to present. The man just don't want the smoke, and that's all it come down to. That's all it come down to, and that's just the bottom line. You know, so and then Abdullah Mason, he gets upgraded to the main event. That's a good look for him. And the problem is with Keyshawn Davis, the reason why this is so embarrassing, or as Popeye would say, embarrassing, this happened in his hometown. Say whatever you want to say. Um, a lot of fighters I know would not have missed weight, especially fighting in their hometown. If you are a native of Norfolk, Virginia, you got to feel bad. You got to feel embarrassed. And then if you from that area, you got supporters like, Michael Vick, you have Allen Iverson, you have a few other people there. The Clips, Pusha T and Malice, those guys were probably going to be in attendance because they was at the last fight. And you fight in your hometown. Not only did you let yourself down, you let your team down, and you let your fans down, and you let your city down. So it's just not a good look. And like I said before, I can't give Keyshawn a pass. It's disappointing that he did this, because a lot of people was looking forward to this fight. Like you really let a lot of people down, you know. So now you have no fight. Now people came. There was a lot of people from that area. Like I said, Michael Vick. Michael Vick is from that area. Allen Iverson. The Clips. Like I said, he brought a few people from VA. They came down there to support him, and he let all of them down. Now in all likelihood, they're gonna try to not go in on him, but I would be very disappointed. I would be very disappointed. I bought tickets. I came to see this dude, and he's the main event. He's fighting in his hometown. Now he's not gonna be part of the he's not going to be part of the main event. And once again, you cannot get mad at Edwin De Los Santos and, Samson Boxing. They had every right to pull out of the fight. They really did. So that's just the bottom line. And this is going to be a stain on Keyshawn Davis, for real. This is going to be a stain on his career. People are going to bring this up when evaluating his legacy because now he's attached to two issues, two incidents. So, now Keyshawn, now he gets to sit up at home and, he get to think about like how this could have been avoided or, like I said, if he intentionally did this. If he couldn't make weight, he should have made that, he should have made it known. But, he stripped up his title. Edwin De Los Santos misses the opportunity to fight for a title. And I'm going to say this again. You can't get mad at him. They did what they were supposed to do. But I'm going to speak on something else. Just let me reset because I definitely feel like I have to bring this up because there is a double standard going on. And as I said before, people don't show the same energy, but it comes down to who they want to show this type of energy for. Yeah, I heard about that. I got a video coming out. It'll be uploaded later on. I'm gonna speak on that. That's gonna be the next video. I'm gonna speak on. I'm definitely gonna speak on that. I'm definitely gonna speak on that. How Other people don't get labeled a warrior for going through with a fight, you know, but it would have been a no-win situation. So people always show their hand. But give me some time. Let me reset. I'll be back in like 10 to 15 minutes.